Hello and welcome to The Takeaway with Tyra. Thank you for joining me today. Now, so that you don't miss out on any of my updates, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also like hearing from you, so go ahead and like and comment. My guests are always exciting and have great things to share with us. What I do on this show is I have one guest and I ask them one question. Then they get the floor for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. So here we go. Okay, we are here with Jeffrey Morlock. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Hello.
I love that. I love your intros. Hello. You always know it's Jeffrey. That's awesome. So thanks for joining me today in The Takeaway. And as we know, we have one guest, yourself, and I'm going to ask you one question, and then you're going to have the floor to answer. So earlier on, when I had first met you and we were talking about the ebook and different things going on, you kind of told me a story. So my question, and I think it's so valuable for people to hear this, my question is, before you came into ONPASSIVE, you had heard about it, but you set about starting to, no, let me reword that. You set about wanting to debunk it because you didn't think it was for real.
Oh boy.
But people got turned and here you are today. So tell us what happened, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, this was back in this is gonna be fun. This was back in probably September, maybe October of 2018. I had a friend, his name was Jim, from Virginia. Mm-hmm. And we had done some online things. Actually, in looking back, I was part of CTFO, which is the big CBD thing that was going quite kind of crazy at the time. And I had just put out a book that was called, The History of Hemp and the Growing CBD Revolution or whatever. Incidentally, just as an interesting point, you've got your program called The Takeaway. That was the first Christian book that I ever put out, was called The Takeaway. So as soon as I heard yours, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like this. So
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So, but anyway, I just put out the hemp book, and he and I were in CTFO, and about 3 weeks after I talked to him, he sent me an email wanting me to look at ONPASSIVE. I really wasn't interested. I didn't want to do anything else. I was a member of two big organizations. CTFO was one of them. And, I had a lot of people under there, and I was okay. I was like, I was on a personal journey that had just started about 6 months earlier. I'm still on it today, loving life. But I kind of ignored the first email, and then he sent me another one, and then he called. Hey, you get my email? I'm like, yeah. I'm just really busy. He said, come on, just take a look at it. I said, all right, I'll take a look at it. Give me a few days. I've got a line of. But I tell you what, I'm going to put it together because I've heard what you said and it doesn't sound to me like it's going to work. But I'll show you why. Instead of just saying, okay, I'll show you why it won't work. So I did. I started Googling, and I got the first, the 4 or 5 bad things out there, the fake office in India, the, just the stupid stuff that is out there that people just put out there. That was the first stuff I came up with, and I said, uh-oh. So I documented. Okay, got this. Well, I did that for 4 or 5 days, got as much of the information as I could, but there wasn't any. There just was no real information, nothing you could sink your teeth into, right, to prove one way or the other.
Right.
So I thought, well, I'm going to have to spend the $97 to get in because that's where the information is, apparently. So I bought into it. And I started looking at, immediately I thought, you know what? I paid my dues. I'm getting my money's worth. And I went in there, and every webinar that was in there, everything that was in there, any marketing, everything. I mean, it was a new co-founders. There wasn't a lot to it. There was a whole lot of, it wasn't well organized. It was just, everything was starting. It was just starting. And after I started really getting a hold of what was in the back office, I thought, okay, well, they're not going anywhere yet. So they're still in the planning stages, but there's still really no good information. I need more. And then, so that's when I jumped on a live webinar with Ash.
Okay.
Now, I liked Ash from day one, in the sense that he had this funny way of talking. Like English was not his first language. And I liked how he said things. And I know that sounds a little weird, but I listen to people and I listen to how they speak and what they say. And I try to read between lines and really get a sense of the person. And I thought to myself, oh man, I don't know who this Mr. Ash guy is, but he needs to get somebody on these webinars that knows how to talk, because he is not doing himself any favors. And I wrote that down, and I was going to tell Jim and the whole 9 yards. I think it was like the third webinar that I listened to him. And the first one I thought, oh man, who is this guy? He doesn't need to be doing webinar. That's what I thought. But he was he was smart. It wasn't that he wasn't articulate. He was all over the place. It wasn't structured. So about the third webinar in listening to him, I really connected with the message. And the message was, we're going to do something that hasn't been done, and we're working on it. And we're making things brand new, and everything that we do is going to be for the founders. And we're going to try to launch in the next few months. But at the point, we don't even have a name yet, but we're just getting off the ground. So it's a good time for you to get in, because we're trying to figure this thing out. That was a message that I really got from him, although he had said a lot of things about it.
Right.
And I thought, okay, well, not so bad. And this has been now 3-4 weeks that I've been working on this document. And after the third webinar with Mr. Mufara, I was really hooked. And I wasn't hooked so much on passive, because I really didn't get it, but I was hooked on him. I had faith. I resonated with him. I was on the same frequency with him. I understood what he was trying to get at, where he was trying to go. I understood the magnitude of what it was that he was trying to do, but there still really wasn't anything there. But I knew where he wanted to go. And I thought, wow, if this thing really takes off, this is going to explode. And I can tie this all into my personal journey, which started with me writing a bunch of biblically based, Christian books on my own journey to find, who am I? Where does Jeffrey fit in? And what is Jeffrey's message? That sort of thing. And so when I started to write all this stuff down with Mr. Mufara, centered in the ONPASSIVE and the Go Founders, which at the time it was Go Founders. We didn't know what ONPASSIVE was. It was Go Founders. And I thought to myself then, this could really be something big. And I see that this could shape into something, because there's a lot of turmoil going on in the world that I see. So I started writing and switched it all in, formatted it. I think it was probably, now I didn't join until November. So this was December, probably January, going into January of 2019. And we had hit double digits. I think we were 10, 11,000 by February or something, or I can't remember offhand. And I had pretty much finished the first round, and I thought, I'm going to use this ebook as a marketing tool for anybody that wants. Oh, sweet, okay. So I started, anybody that wanted the book, I started putting the book out. And, I would add to it. The more I learned, I'd add a little more. and I would use it in my own emails, you know, and I started doing some marketing and stuff like that. Well, apparently Cindy and some of the then leaders got a hold of the book, and they thought, wow, this is great. And somehow Mr. Mufara got a hold of it, and he thought it was pretty cool too. And that started my whole role really with ONPASSIVE. I mean, when I first came in, my idea, Tyra, was, okay, I see where this is going. It's going to take a little while. I'm going to get me and my wife, my 3 kids. I'm going to get some of my in-laws. I'm going to buy a few extra. I'm thinking if I get 10 positions, I'm golden. I can sit back on my duck. I got time. I can collect Social Security in a couple of years, no problem. You know, I've got a retirement from the military. I'm good to go. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Mufara reached out to me. And at the point that he did that, we talked about a lot of his vision, and I started to get to know him more. And the more I talked with him, the more I just, you know, I felt where he was going, and the enormity of this started to grow with me, grow. And I was like, wow, you know, what have I got myself into here? This is going to be something. So he, you know, he wanted to know, you know, would I help do some things? And it started with the webinars, you know, with Mr. I just had a brain bubble. The first guy that was doing the webinars, Scott Nelson. Scott Nelson, yeah. And he said, well, I've got Mr. Nelson here, and he's giving the webinars. He said, what we need is somebody that's got their feet in GoFounders, understand it. And he says, you know what? I think you understand it. I think you get it. Will you do a webinar? So I did like the next 3 webinars and sent them to him and to Scott. So they started doing my webinars. And then he was saying, you know, that he wanted some videos for ONPASSIVE.com. You do some videos. And I was like, all right. I heard you. That's the 3rd time. I guess you want me to do some videos. So I did a video. I said, I don't do video. I never did videos. But he, you know, I love the man. What can I say? He just kind of came alongside of me, and you know, I'd never done any of this, right? But I loved it. I loved the immersion that I got in what was fast becoming the GoFounders ONPASSIVE culture. And the more I got to know him, the more I understood where he wanted to go and how big this was getting. And that's when I started tying it into a lot of the things that were going on with the world. I mean, I get goosebumps right now. I wish I had a camera I could show you. I get goosebumps when I think about how ONPASSIVE's timing is so perfect. I'm telling you, Mr. Mufara was born for this time right now. This time. It's ONPASSIVE's time. He was born to be it. He was born to bring it into fruition. He was born to do this, and it will catapult him. And make no mistake, my hat is off to the man. Absolutely. He has gone from 0 to 60 in his learning curve. Think about it. Think about it. Here's a guy that's been doing marketing kind of low key, very successful, never owned his own business. He started out with $100,000 platform, right, with a 3-month window to launch. And the GoFounders was so successful. And part of the reason that I believe it has been so successful is because of the mindset of the people that get in here. Oh man, they're going to be writing about it in history books. They will. I'm glad this is going to be archived somewhere with ONPASSIVE. Getting back to the ebook, that's how it started. I mean, if it wasn't for Mr. Mufara, it wouldn't have been. It was just a marketing piece that I started for me, and I started giving it away. And that's what he's doing. And that's, like I said in the last video, you know, this, when we give things away, when we give value and we're not charging for it, that value is coming back to us. I mean, biblically, that's as sound as it gets, the law of sowing and reaping, you know. God's very clear when he says, I dare you, see if you can outgive me. You can't do it. The more you give, and it's a law, you know, it's a law. The more you give, providing it's with the right motivation and mindset, right? You can't give expecting, oh, if I give you this, I'm going to get a lot more back. It's not going to work. You've got to give with a good heart. And Mr. Mufara has got the best heart that I've ever seen. And he is more than willing to stand up and at cost and severe cost to himself and those around him. He is building this and making this and pushing this whole ONPASSIVE thing forward. And man, when she finally launches, oh, hold on to your hat, because you know what? The world is going to recognize, and this is where I see Mr. Mufara going. When you have something like ONPASSIVE, and we start getting answers from ONPASSIVE, and we start recognizing ONPASSIVE, the world will recognize ONPASSIVE, and then they'll go, oh, Mr. Mufara is the one that did this. If it hadn't been for Mr. Mufara, I wouldn't have nearly as much fun as I'm having.
Right.
And I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. I don't have a negative bone in my body. I'm objective. I am very, very patient. And I see, so clearly, even months and months and months ago, how big this thing would be. And I thought, I've got a message. And now that he's shown me how to do videos, that message is going to get out. Right? That's what I do. So.
Oh my goodness, Jeffrey, that is so awesome. This is the beauty of, if people would do their due diligence and dig in and look into ONPASSIVE, even though they may be trying to debunk it. But looking at it, the more you look at it, the more you see the transparency and all the things that you spoke about.
And the compassion is the key to ONPASSIVE. It's not about being profitable or being in a business or financial concept alone. It's about doing what's right because it's right, and knowing that when you are of that mindset and you're doing something and you're putting that value out there, and it's a free value to those that will come and take it, whoever wants to, right? That value is going to come back in an awesome, a tsunami. I'm telling you. You wait, man alive. Ash, he may have an idea of what he started here, but my guess is it's a lot bigger than he even thinks it's going to be. 5 years from now, he will be a household name. I mean, ONPASSIVE, 5 years from now, we will have, 1.5 billion, 2.5 billion customers, in our base. It's just the math. It's the math. Think about it. If we have 100 million by the end of the first year, we can, if we end up with 750,000 or even 1 million founders, that's one founder every 200 square miles on this earth that's going to positively affect, right? Because we're going to make sure the money's there. That's what this is about. It's not about making a few people rich. It's about lifting people up. And the best way you do that is through distributed systems. So this is another thing that I was talking about with ONPASSIVE that makes it so sweet, is that everything is going to decentralized systems. Everything we've got is going decentralized because people don't trust it, right? So now that you've got ONPASSIVE is following right in. Did he mean to do it? Probably not. It just worked out that way. And that's the genius of it. He's got blessing upon blessing in this place, right? So, but when you take funds, money, currency, profit from 100 million, 200 million, 1 billion people, it's all coming into ONPASSIVE and it's flowing right back out through a not through a central core. It's not like Google with their board members getting filthy billion rich, or the people out there, the
old
Facebook
system,
of the world,
right?
Yeah. Oh, he is putting all of that, the profit that they have after they pay the bills, after the salaries. I'm sure they'll have what I call a sinking fund. They're going to put money aside for a rainy day, but there's going to be a ton of money left over, right? And that money is all going to be funneled right through the fund, through the founders, and it's going to trickle, and it's going to be an economic net for the globe, because we're going to have more than we need, which translates into local economies, into families. People are going to start charities, and they're going to understand gee, the more I give, the more I get. Imagine that. And wouldn't. And that's the big thing about ONPASSIVE. It's not about trying to get in to make a buck. That's the kind of leader we want. We want that founder. That's why I tell people at the end of my video, if this video resonates with you, you're the person that we want. If it makes sense to you and you get goosebumps, that is you identifying, the spirit's identifying with you, saying, this is a good thing. You need to get in it.
Yeah.
But people think I'm a little crazy when I say that. But when they learn it, I mean, I know this stuff. So it's great. This is absolutely phenomenal. And we are riding this wave right into the future. And we are changing mankind. We're changing the economy. And we are lifting people up and blessing people. And it's all because one man had a vision and he stuck to it. And he said, we're going to do this or die. We're going to do it or die. That was the first thing out of his mouth when he did this. We're going to do it or die. And we're going to do it right. We're not going to do it halfway. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it fancy. We're going to do it good. And we're going to do it forever. So life is good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That's just awesome. Well,
you get me on a soapbox. I'll talk for a while. It's allowed to go anywhere.
Oh, man. So you guys that are listening, I mean, there is such a huge takeaway here. You know, here's Jeffrey. Started off thinking, well, I'm going to prove this wrong. And the more he looked and the more he learned, and now you see him today. I mean, he's got—
Who does that? Who does that? Who says, we're going to lift up humanity? Okay, I've heard that one before, right? I'm like, no, because it will take you millions and millions of dollars, and nobody does that.
Right.
And that's the key. We're about connectedness and mutual benefit and doing what's right because it's right and lifting people up. And if my neighbor doesn't have as much as I do, then I need to walk across the street and help that neighbor and lift that neighbor up to where I am.
Yes. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is so awesome. You know, Jeffrey, man, if anyone is watching or is going to be watching this, this is truly going to get them ignited, because you can't listen to someone with that kind of passion and step away and just whatever. You know, as soon as you start speaking about things that lift up humanity and help the person, help somebody else. And it is, I mean, we live too long in this idea of dog eat dog. And here we are going back. You know, I think of my grandmother, well, Baba in Ukrainian, coming to this country. Well, how did the pioneers survive? They survived because they helped each other. It was a community. And it's so completely refreshing to see ONPASSIVE being a facilitator of that kind of attitude. And man, Jeffrey.
Oh, it is. And you know what? We owe it all to Ash Mufareh. You know, today's world, where we're going, it is primed and ready, and it is no accident that ONPASSIVE is raising the bar. I mean, it's got its own class. This is the beginning. There will be people that come after us and try to emulate us, but they will never, ever be able to do what we've done. We've got a heart. That's the bottom line. Pick up a founder's position, get on board, work toward the launch, get your feet in here, get your heart in here, focus on ONPASSIVE and growing ONPASSIVE for the reason that ONPASSIVE is growing, and everything else that you want is going to be sucked right into the vacuum behind you as you're moving forward. All that money you want, the friendships you want, the good feelings that you want. That's why we make any decision in the world. It's so we feel better. No matter what it is, whatever decision you make, it's because you think you're going to feel better when you make that decision, because that's the way we're all made. Ash sees that. He's made that way. He's made ONPASSIVE that way. And that is the ONPASSIVE message that, you know what? In that, we now have 650 some thousand founders with a certain attitude, right? With a certain motivation, and it's a good motivation. Right? You've got intention. You know how powerful that is?
Yeah.
It's no wonder that we're going gangbusters. And it's no wonder to me that this is, oh, man.
Yeah.
Wish I had more time. I know I just blew that 10 minutes out of the water. I'm sorry.
Well, on that note, Jeffrey, we're going to wrap it up because that really said it all in me asking you the question about trying to debunk something, and because of the heart and the compassion in Ash Mufara, it
Yeah.
just completely turned you around. And
Oh yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So anybody watching this, enjoy, share it, because this is a thing. ONPASSIVE has heart. So
Yeah. Oh
Jeffrey,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm really
My
glad you
pleasure.
took the
My
time
pleasure.
today. That was great.
You get to see my son. I was out in the sun all day long. So
Yeah, good. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a super evening.
thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.